Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Show on the Grizzly Truth Sports Network. The NFL Show is brought to you by BetNow.eu. Use the promo code TRUTH100 to get a cashback bonus on your first deposit. I am your co-host for the NFL Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host from the FF Face-Off, Anthony Cervino. How you doing, Anthony?
What's going on, Mike? How are you?
Oh, not much. I'm good, I guess. I'm better than Trent Williams, who did not pass his physical. And now his helmet doesn't fit right. So I guess he's just not going to be able to play football ever again because he had discomfort with his helmet and the fitting of it.
I mean, he'll play football again. It just won't be with the Redskins.
Yeah. And I think maybe he ought to just tell everybody the truth that he doesn't really want to play for the Redskins because I think we all already know that.
I mean, it was evident since he's, held out the whole season, the whole off season, and all of a sudden, when the trade deadline passes and he realistically should be reporting, he's not.
Okay, here we go. Confusion about Williams' health status emerged Wednesday as NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport was told by team sources that Williams' medical visit went well and he was healthy enough to practice, but that turned out not to be the case. When Callahan met with reporters hours later and said Williams' helmet was causing issues leading to the failed physical.
I mean, with teams like the Redskins and teams like the Jets, where it's just one thing after another, I'll always blame ownership.
Well, because it seems like it's the same teams that have these problems with
right.
the players.
And if things are going good in the building, players want to show up to work. And if you want to rope in the Cincinnati Bengals into this too, we can.
No, I'd never want to do that. But A.J. Green's still out, so what the hell? And I think if the Bengals had a better record, A.J. Green would be in. And plus, you've got the fact that A.J. Green... Well, go ahead.
I disagree with that because A.J. Green told the press that he's open to a contract extension, which to me is a glutton for punishment.
No, what he said was... he either wants a contract extension or he wants out now.
Then that's different than what I saw.
Well, I live in this area, and that is A.J. Green's ultimatum was he wants a new contract or he wants to be traded in the offseason. So I think there's more here than what people see with A.J. Green. And, yeah, because his exact quote here, and this is from a Cincinnati site, is Bengals wide receiver A.J. Green wants long-term deal or let me go.
No, see, now I'm seeing, and this is from Paul Denner, a beat writer for the Bengals, that A.J. Green said he wants to be with the Bengals long-term and that he's open to a contract extension.
Yeah, well, what it says
I did not see anything about an ultimatum.
All right. A.J. Green's words, I'm not into a one-year deal. Give me a long-term contract or just let me go. Now, the other thing is this, Paul Danner, who's he write for?
I'll find out in 9 seconds. Let's see. The Athletic, a senior writer and podcast host. So he's been a Bengals beat writer for a long time, and he was picked up by the Athletic this offseason. So one of the papers in Cincinnati, I'm sure, is where he came from.
He used to write for the Cincinnati Enquirer. But the thing is, he is in with the Bengals, if you know what I mean. And to stay in with the Bengals as a reporter, you have to report well on the Bengals. How about that?
I mean, I hate to question the integrity of a sports writer, but
I don't, because this is the thing. Back in 1996-97, when they had to vote for the new stadium for the Bengals, a few of those guys, like Jeff Hobson and I forget the other guy's name, but also some guys on city council during this vote, all went to work for the Bengals after the vote was passed.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why they got a stadium deal that is the best in the world, and they don't have to pay anything. I think they've paid like $1 million out of pocket for the $250 million stadium that they got. So when you look at that, I would say with the Bengals, you have to do what you're told. It's just like I hear all these people talking about, Zach Taylor and how he made the decision on Andy Dalton. Maybe he did, but if he did, it was with Mike Brown's blessing.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me with the way that Mike Brown appears to be through the years.
Yeah, it's not appears to be. It's the way he is. He's a vindictive shit.
Is Mike Brown the last or one of the last owners that really date back to the old AFL, NFL days?
Well, you've got the Steelers.
I'm talking about with the family. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
You have the Steelers, you have the Hunts with the Chiefs, but there's not many left at his age.
Giants. They're not the old AFL, but the old NFL, the Bears, stuff like that.
Because Mike Brown's kind of reminded me of Al Davis before he died.
No, because Mike Brown was like that his whole life. Al Davis just gets senile at the end. If you know what I mean. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But, all right. Any other NFL news before we move on to tonight's game?
I could check the news wire at Roto World. Let's see. Benny Snell, Steelers running back, the rookie, expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with a torn meniscus. Earl Thomas will play against the Patriots this week. Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard, both tight ends on the Buccaneers, not going to play. Not practicing, which is concerning.
All right. A lot of interesting news going on in the NFL today. And we have the 49ers and the Cardinals tonight, and it looks like David Johnson will not play tonight, which is nothing new.
Well, Chase Edmonds is already ruled out. David Johnson, he was going to be a game-time decision, but if they're going to rule him out ahead of time, it wouldn't surprise me because this would be the third week he's dealing with these injuries. And you might as well not even suit him up if you're not going to play him, which means you're going to have a mixture of Zach Zenner, Alfred Morris, and Kenyon Drake. And Drake has only been with the team for about 4 minutes.
Yeah, but the good thing is he's a running back. You just hand it to him and let him run.
Now, how do you think that's going to work now? When he, realistically, he's been with the team 3 or 4 days.
Well, I don't think it's going to.
I
think this. I think it would work out fine if they were playing like the Bengals or the Dolphins. But since they're playing the 49ers, it's not going to work out well. But it wouldn't have worked out well if he'd have been there for a year against this defense.
Is there? Are we going to go right into this game preview? Yeah, because I think my question is: are you giving the Cardinals a chance?
Yes, I am. And this is why I would give the Cardinals a chance. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think there's a chance. And the reason is this. Kyler Murray has been pressured on just 12% of his dropbacks this year, which is the lowest in the NFL. And aiding that, I think, is the fact that their quick pass percentage with the Cardinals is 55.1%. What the Cardinals do with the offense and the air raid that they run is basically you get the ball in Murray's hands, he makes a play quickly, or he takes off. So I think the way they play and the amount of turnovers he hasn't done gives them a chance here. And also you're coming out the 49ers playing a great game against Carolina. You only got 3 or 4 days rest. You got to play on a Thursday. And the Cardinals are coming back from getting nailed in New Orleans, but at least they get to come home. And I would give them a small chance to make a run at this game. And I think the point spread's 10.5, which I think the point spread, if it's 10.5, I think I would actually take the Cardinals into points tonight.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with that because the Cardinals were playing well. They were on a 3-game winning streak up to getting blown out last week against the Saints. They will have Christian Kirk back. He played last week, played really well. And I think having Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk at receiver, gives Kyler Murray that extra weapon. Now, I know Larry Fitzgerald, future Hall of Famer, but he's just not the same player that he was. And Christian Kirk, when he's healthy, that Kyler Murray likes to target him. He's had double-digit targets in 3 of 5 games. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, but he catches a ton of passes, racks up the yards, converts first downs, and I think he's going to help move this offense.
Yeah, and I think the key here is just getting the ball out of, Kyler Murray's hands quickly. If they do that, I think they have the opportunity to have a chance to win the game. It worries me with no running game that the Niners can kind of just disrespect that and just play coverage against him. The other thing that would give me some hope for the Cardinals is Jimmy G. It's not like he's been perfect this season. He does have a tendency to turn the ball over from time to time. But I think the other problem with that, and why I like the 10.5 points, is I think the Niners are going to come out and just be efficient, run the ball, and win the game. I don't think, and if we look at it, the 49ers, for the most part, except for the game against Carolina and the game against Cincinnati, has been a team that has basically just done enough to win, if you know what I mean.
What? What do you mean?
Well, they kind of like Seattle. Even if they're winning a lot of games, most of those games are not blowouts. So when you look at the Niners, I mean, this is a team that only beat Washington 9-0. I know it was a rainstorm, but I think the way they play, and this is not a knock on them because I like the way they play, because they will just pound and grind on you.
They win tough games, basically.
Yeah, they pound and they grind on you. So the thing is this: if Kyler Murray can limit the turnovers, I think that they can stay in the game. I think you're looking at a game that ends up something like 24-17, 24-16, something like that. So I think the way the Niners play makes it hard for me to give 9.5 or 10.5 points against almost anybody that they play.
Kyler Murray is going to have to pitch a perfect game. His receivers, I'm going to keep going back to this. The 49ers, the strength of their defense is being able to stop the run, making the opponent one-dimensional. But I don't trust the 49ers secondary. And Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald, I know Larry Fitzgerald's been in the league forever. He's always played well against the 49ers. And Kirk last season, different defense, different 49ers team. But in 2 games, 6 receptions, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. These receivers know how to get by the secondary. And the 49ers, all the defensive additions they made, their secondary is realistically the same as last year.
Yeah, and with the Cardinals on defense, I know they don't rank very high, but they didn't have Patrick Peterson till the last week or so, which gives you a guy that could make a play or two. But I think the guy that people are missing the boat on here is Chandler Jones. And I think he's played really well this season. He got shut down by New Orleans, who has a great offensive line. But I don't expect that to happen 2 games in a row. So my point is, with Chandler Jones and Patrick Peterson there, I think there are the pieces that if they're on their game tonight that can cause Jimmy Garoppolo and that 49ers offense to turn the ball over and keep the Cardinals in the game a little bit.
Uh, 49ers, they have a couple of running backs banged up. Tevin Coleman's fine, but their other 3 running backs are all going into the game with questionable tags.
Yeah, so I have no doubt that the 49ers will probably win this game. I just think it might be a little bit closer than people say. And if Chandler Jones gets shut out and they block him the way New Orleans did, this game goes really bad. But if Chandler Jones can come up and make 2 or 3 sacks, cause a little, problems in the backfield there, who knows? Maybe they got a chance, because we've seen teams that we thought had no chance win games in the NFL. It happens almost weekly. I assume you're picking the 49ers tonight?
Yes.
All right. I do want to bring up one thing, which is Jamal Adams, because he almost went to your Cowboys, and he's really upset about that, like any God-fearing American would be. What's your take on them attempting to trade Jamal Adams and him not being pleased with it because he didn't know about it?
The Jets?
Yeah.
It's just a Jets thing to do. When you can't trust, and it comes down to trust. When you don't trust your coach, when you don't trust the front office, when you don't trust the general manager, this is why these teams, we talked about Trent Williams before. He doesn't trust ownership down. And you have Jets players not trusting ownership, coaches. This is just bad business.
Yeah. And there's about... Oh, are you hanging out at Steve Risley's house? Because I heard a dog bark. But anything else you want to discuss before we go, Anthony?
No, I think we just about covered everything as my dog is chiming in.
That's what I said. It's like talking to Steve Risley, except you're not interrupting me incessantly. And I know he's listening. So,
leave Steve alone.
I know. I'm just playing. He knows it. He talked crap about me on his Colts show last night, so it's okay. All right, guys. Anthony, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at The Real NFL Guru. You can follow my show at the FF Face Off. You can find us on all the top social media and podcast platforms. And today, right around 3:30, the FF Face Off will be live streaming on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, breaking down the early games on the Week 9 slate.
All right, so everybody check that out. That will be on The Grueling Truth today, too. Just make sure you text me, Anthony, because when you share it to me, sometimes I forget. But the last episode you guys had yesterday is on thegruelingtruth.com right now also.
Yes, it was a great episode, too.
Tomorrow at noon, me and Anthony will be back to pick all of the games for Sunday. And also, Monday's show, I'm going to pick the Giants to beat the Cowboys because they are.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Monday show.
I know.
And the Tuesday show.
Me neither. The Tuesday
on Monday,
show is the one
I'm going to
really
talk about
looking
why
forward
the Cowboys are going to win on Monday night over the Giants. And on Tuesday morning, I'm going to talk about it again.
Yeah, and wonder what the hell happened and why they lost to the New York Giants. But that'll be on Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow, noon, me and Anthony will be back, so make sure you check us out then. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Anthony Cervino, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.